Mhm.
Your access level has recently increased. Excellent. Incoming message.
Welcome, agents, to episode 58 of Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are Andrew Krug from Arlington, Virginia, Daphne D. from Washington, D.C., and Shannon Martinez from Los Angeles. Our special guests tonight are Kage from The Hague, Netherlands, and Collin Williams from Salt Lake City. Joining us for the Weekly Truth is Jose Antonio Rey from Operation Essex. And for a look inside the scanner is Fev Games. I'm Kelly Colton. Welcome to the show. The Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. Submit your questions throughout the show and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at bit.ly/BTS_guest. Finally, you can watch past episodes and subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. And now, your hosts of Behind the Scanner.
All right, good evening, agents. Welcome to episode 58 of Behind the Scanner. All right, ready to get the show started? Tonight, our first guest is Kage from the Netherlands. And welcome, Kira.
Hi. Good to be on the show.
Thank you for staying up late or waking up early to be with us today.
A little bit of both.
Nice, I like the flexibility. So I'm curious, how did you get your agent name? And does it mean anything special?
I needed a name. I'm a big anime lover, but it's Japanese, and it translates as Killer Shadow.
I was wondering, it didn't sound like Dutch, not that I'm fluent or anything, but makes a lot of sense. And
no, then it would have had a lot of throat noises if it was Dutch.
Right. I have been to your country, unfortunately before Ingress, but which part of the Netherlands are you from exactly?
From near behind the dunes. I'm from the coast. I'm from The Hague. In The Hague, we would say the blauwe stad achter de duinen. It's the blue city behind the dunes.
Wow.
Very cool. Kira, hi, I'm Kelly. I'm obviously not Shannon. So, even though you're from The Hague, didn't you lead the Rotterdam anomaly?
Well, I didn't lead it. The site lead was Lyon, but I'd had the strategical lead on the Rotterdam anomaly, yes.
Okay.
Those guys were friendly enough to put that trust in me.
Very cool. And so are your communities, do they share the same members, or tell me a little bit about that?
Well, as in every hangout, you see some of the same people everywhere, but no, it's not exactly the same community. But the Dutch community is very tightly knit, and yeah, we all help each other out wherever we can. We work together a lot. So in a way, it is the same community, and in another way, it's not. But yeah.
Very cool. And one thing we all love about the community is sharing with the world at large. And one thing you, me, Daphne, Andrew, one thing we all have in common is appearing on the Ingress report. But you were featured doing something a little different on episode 54. Can you tell us what that was about?
Yeah, I showed up in a green sweater. Normally the Ingress report is fairly balanced, always some enlightened agents, some resistance agents. But in this episode there was a green player, but it was actually not. And I was bragging about how well the blue team was doing. So I didn't exactly lie, but it was an admission of truth, I guess, and they put in the right bits. So it was pretty cool. Got a lot of hate mail for that, though.
So you're even wearing green. In fact, if I don't know if it's possible for her to share your screen, but you are actually featured on a media for that episode, wearing green.
Yeah, and it's become somewhat of a running gag. The shirt I'm wearing now, I got from the Rotterdam Resistance after the anomaly as a thank you. It's actually a Resistance shirt, but they had only one printed in green, especially for me, which was really, really cool to receive.
So is dressing up in green a common ritual for you for anomalies?
Yeah, it's become that. It started at the Amsterdam anomaly. It was in Teritus. It was the first time they made me a team leader, and I thought like, oh, let's troll the other team leaders at the team leader meeting by showing up in green. Unfortunately, it didn't work at all because I showed up and everybody was like, "Hey, Kira, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Fuck." So I went. So I thought like, oh, then I'll infiltrate green and see what I can find out. But on the green side, it was the same thing. Everybody's like, "Hey, Kira." I'm like, ah, damn. Didn't really work.
So I mean, unfortunately, if we did an opportunity tonight to see your face, is that partially why your profile picture is the one in the mask?
No, I've had that profile picture for a while now. It's just something, a picture I really like, and I started out trying to be really anonymous, hiding from other players, but it didn't work for long. I played pretty hard, so it's hard to miss me. And eventually you run into everybody, so people know my name and face. I don't know. That doesn't seem to work to hide my identity.
Well, I want to take a moment, and we're not the only ones that are allowed to ask questions here. So for everyone watching, you can submit questions for our guests. If you're watching via YouTube, you have to click the banner at the bottom of the video that says "Be a part of the conversation." And from there, you just click the square grid icon menu up at the top and select Q&A. So that was my PSA. So, okay, you've shared with us that you've done all the different things that can be done in Ingress. And what does that mean exactly?
Well, in Ingress you can do a lot of things. You can do intel, you can do just farm busting, you can do fielding and anomalies, and in all those things I've done most roles that can be done. I haven't done an anomaly fielding, but other than that I've done clearing, I've done the ops for fields, I've done the ops for an anomaly, I've been on bike teams, I've been on volatile teams, just normal clustered teams, I've done shards, everything that can be done I've pretty much done by now, and it's a lot of fun.
And now you've done Behind the Scanner, so
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Just about all of it. But which accomplishment, besides being here tonight, are you most proud of?
Ooh, I think setting up a successful First Saturday series here in The Hague. We've done First Saturday since the very beginning, and we've done it every month since, and try to make it grow every time. I've since passed the torch to a very capable agent here in The Hague called Brilsmurf. But yeah, I really like what we did there.
And which stat would you like to improve on if you could?
I recently gotten my Platinum Pioneer, and I've also gotten the Platinum Explorer. I wouldn't mind getting either to black, I suppose.
Nice. Well, and another accomplishment that you've achieved that I don't think anyone else probably could is, since there is no real stat for that, but you've actually made a lot of portals. And I'm not talking about submitting the portals that become portals, like the Seer badge, but actually creating them. Now, how'd you do that? And how many have you done?
I've never counted them, but I've got portals in many cities, ranging from Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague itself, but also other cities. Because I've got a great love for graffiti and street art, and I doodle in that myself as well, quite successfully, I suppose. But yeah, I've made portals with stencils and with graffiti art ranging from small electricity boxes to big murals that are 60 meters long, 7 meters high. and have since become portals. Either most of them submitted by players I don't even know, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
And are those paintings in the background, are those pieces of art in the back, are those your original works too?
No. Those are by friends. I have some paintings I did, but I've sold those since. A good friend of mine is also a street artist. He told me, like, don't get attached to your work. Get rid of it as soon as possible, or your entire house will clog up with artwork.
That's
so, are you
true.
a professional artist?
Not professional, no. I work in IT, but I've got a collective of people I work with, and we do organize a lot of events and expositions. So it's not professional, but it's not like purely amateur either. So I've been to the biggest graffiti festival in Europe as an invited guest for 4 years in a row, and I've got a 5th unofficial invite for next year already. So that's pretty cool.
Very
nice.
Cool.
So, oh, sorry, Kelly. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just curious more about your art. I mean, because if people wanted to, we're curious. Do you sell your art online? Would we be able to find out more, see more of your works, or see your works?
There is
the portal
work online, but unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable sharing that because not all of the work was done legally. So, so I rather not connect that to my name here. But if you hit me up personally, I could probably hook you up with some work.
Sounds good.
Fair enough. So, kind of heading back towards Ingress, unlike most players, especially a few on this show, you're a big fan of shards. Can you tell us an experience that you've had with them or an aspect of them, and how would you convince myself, Daphne, or Jorge, or others on the joys of shards?
I can share so many stories. We've had shards here in The Hague every shard season, as we call it, beginning from 13 Magnus. I guess really cool moments were when we parked some shards in our farm. We camped out in cars for 3 days. This was back when the jump time was still 1 hour. People from all over the Netherlands came to help out, but me, Joost, and Staatsvijand, we slept in cars just to guard them for every jump. But other people just joined in, and at some moments we had up to 40 agents, and on average I think between 12 and 20 people at the shards, camping out there, eating spare ribs that people brought or other snacks. It was real community sense. But I guess what I find really cool about the shards is that they push the game to another level. They force you to form bonds with even other countries and other people you don't know yet, not on your time scale, but so out of your comfort zone, and it really pushes your game up to the next level. It's really strategical on the ground. It's really strategical on the intel. It just brings everything there is about Ingress into a small time frame. It's so awesome. It's undescribable. And yeah, recently we've collected 5 of them for the last series here in The Hague. Even had 2 of them at the first Saturday event before we moved them to the coast to join them with 3 others. And those 5 we've eventually shot to Iceland and went through Morocco to the Middle East, and there unfortunately got blocked by a spoofer link. But yeah,
That's a shame.
That was a shame. But oh well. Calvin Ball and move on.
Did you say spoofer link or a ghost link?
No, spoofer link. The spoofer got banned before the jump, but unfortunately the link stayed, so we couldn't move them on. And, subsequently, they got stolen by legitimate players, but still, to have them stolen because they didn't move on because of spoofer link, that was a bit painful. But yeah, happens, and next one.
Yeah, I understand.
So this is kind of a fun question that we like to ask people, or maybe it's fun, maybe it's philosophical, but how would you describe yourself as a player?
Oh, hardcore. I don't know. Trying to, yeah, always trying to win. I suppose. I don't know. Try to do it all.
Alright.
Social. I really enjoy the social of the whole thing. Meeting new people. I've met so many people through anomalies and everything. I don't know. I always find it hard to describe myself. Feels like I'm interviewing for a job or something.
Well,
Let's
we're
hope it's not
hoping this
that
is more
painful.
fun than a
Good to
job
see.
interview.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, what may or may not be so fun are the viewer questions. You ready to take something on?
That's bring him on. This can be anything. So come on.
All right. This was from Coolcom, and would like to know, how did you find ingressing in Australia on your visit last year?
Awesome. I went to Brisbane for about 3 weeks. I went there for a wedding of my best friend. She was nice enough to allow me to be her best man. And she married Coolcom, in fact. So, he was also a great guy. They both started playing when I was there, and I think they still play, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Ingress in Australia was really a lot of fun. I think Brisbane is a city of 3 million people, and I've met so many wonderful people on both sides. I went there with the help of the entire Netherlands. They supplied me with a shitload of ADAS. And I went there trying to do a one-man army thing, because Brisbane at the time was very, very green. And what I did was just rampaging through the city, and once I ran out of items, I went to a green farm, flipped it in its entirety, burn it, and continue my rampage. This got noticed. Many people supplied me on my runs with resonators and bursters, so I could go on for longer. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I did a social with beers, and even a lot of the green players showed up. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Okay. And our next question is from Nuno Pedro Vicente. And I like this. When are you doing the faction change?
If I do, you will see me showing up on the anomaly with a blue sweater. Then you will know.
And
But,
okay,
I will
another question.
never do a faction change. Green of clothes, but blue of heart.
Good saying. All right, so another question from Gustavo Guevara, and I'm assuming you probably know what this means, but Fuha?
Fuha!
Or F-U-H-H-A? Okay, you know what that means. Talk to us.
The fucked up hangout agents. Yeah, it's a crazy group. People that know each other from anomalies and like to party together. The most important rule, you have to visit all the after parties.
So it stands for what again?
The fucked up hangout agents.
Okay. All right. Fun. All right. So I think that's it for questions now. Oh, one that I do want to know, and I would love to ask this from every player though, is what is something that you found out about yourself from Ingress that you didn't know before?
Oh, another one of those job interview questions. I don't know. I guess my answer would be not something I didn't know about myself, but something I rediscovered. I used to travel through Europe a lot by hitchhiking or any other means of travel I could find, and I rediscovered my love for the traveling. It's that's the most important thing, I guess.
Cool.
Okay, Daphne, is that it for the the viewer questions? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's time now for the BTS tradition. For better or worse, we give each of our guests, at the end of their interview, 60 seconds to talk about whatever they want or to give a shout out to whomever they want. So, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna try and do the shout out. I probably forget way too many people, and I already know this for sure because there's so many amazing people I've met. But I would like to just give a shout out to the local resistance of The Hague, of course, and the resistance of the Netherlands in general. Same goes for the resistance worldwide, and in particularly, of course, Europe, where I've met so many amazing people. For the specific people, again, too many people to mention, but I would really like to give a shout out to my best friend Walter. He's also a local from The Hague. Without him, I probably wouldn't be playing that long as I have, and he's in many cases instrumental to our success. So that's really important. I want to give a shout out to Kenneth for being the craziest Dutch of the crazy Dutch, and yeah, he's an Ingress hero and will probably keep breaking the records. Joost for being a true friend and picking me up last Sunday when I got stranded in Germany and had to start a new job on Monday, and was willing to drive hundreds of kilometers just to save me from being stranded. I want to give a shout out to the enlightened agent Timothy Daftfox for organizing First Saturday with me for half a year and making it the success it is. A big thank you for all the couches and rides I had to all the anomalies and other Ingress events in Europe. And last but not least, I would like to give a shout out to Julia, who was the best guide ever. Scheveningen, thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it was so nice to meet you and get to chat with you for a bit. Thank you for joining us tonight.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, folks at home, I have some bad news to write to you. We don't have a code of the show, so you're going to have to tune in next week for that. There wasn't a whole lot to report on, so Fev Games isn't here with us, but we're hoping they'll join us next week. And, oh my gosh, like, this is just like a double whammy after double, you know. Yeah. So, Jose cannot join us tonight for the Weekly Truth. So you'll have to maybe join in on Operation Essex. The community is available and always chatting on there 24/7. So be sure to tune in there for your storyline fix. So hopefully we'll be back to normal next week. And of course, Andrew, Jorge, Shannon, and Frank all send their regards. So we're sorry that we had to start a little late too. So it's just one thing. When it rains, it pours, right, Daphne?
Yes. No, and it's summertime, so you know.
It's summer break. We'll give everyone, let everyone have a nice holiday, right?
Yes, but some of us are here to keep the fort strong, and someone who actually does help do that is our next guest. And those of you who've been on our site, behindthescanner.com, and have seen our friends list, or are just Ingress fan video fanatics, you're probably already familiar with our next guest, host of those Ingression videos on YouTube. This is, we'd like to welcome in Collin Williams, aka Agent Incredible Hulk, from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for being here, and we actually get to see behind your screen.
Yes, it is.
In a way. Very cool. So, Ingression, and for our viewers who haven't seen your videos yet, can you share a little information about them?
So Ingression is it's just a completely non-faction biased teaching series that I try to cover the more advanced Ingress techniques, things like the recent pro tips on how to make it so that people can't hunt your guardian, to the best ways to key farm, and like anomaly strategies that were recently even successfully used at Persepolis right after the video is released. And a lot of what is covered is really useful but unknown techniques that get submitted. I've even had like level 15 and 16 agents who commented and told me that there are things that maybe they didn't know one or two of the tips in some of the episodes. So it's things that, because it's collectively everyone submitting them, it's this group knowledge that ends up teaching everyone.
Neat. And hey, Collin, can you tell us how did you come up with the name of the show, Ingression?
Well, ingression, oftentimes you're like driving through a neighborhood at night in circles and or like at a cemetery, and cops will pull you over because they're like, "What's going on here? What are you doing?" And in reality, I'm honest with them. I give them a little spiel I talk about in the Ingress Ambassador, but I used to always joke around that, I was a ghost hunter, and can you see the XM around us? Or, I'd say that I had ingression, which is a subset of obsessive compulsive disorder that made me drive in repetitive patterns in multiples of 4, and also caused me to spend an inordinate amount of time, around like parks, post offices, and cemeteries. So it's a psychological condition, and it really is. And the joke seemed like to fit as a good name for the series, and to me, it's kind of evolved now. It means this intense and aggressive love of Ingress. I'm actually thinking of making some shirts that say it's not obsession, it's ingression at this point. That's what it's evolved.
I like that. That's cool.
That is very cool. It's actually the name of one of my playlists on Spotify for my ingressing
Nice.
team.
Very cool. Well, so one of the things, a lot of teams worldwide usually try to keep their tips and tricks and their info, exclusively within their factions and inside their communities. Is there a particular reason that you choose to share information publicly and for both factions?
Well, when I first started the series, actually kind of by accident. So someone suggested I write a guide on multi-layered fielding for the local Enlightened group, because it was right after Illuminator came out, and that's kind of what I do. Is I love multi-layered fields, and that was kind of the thing that was my favorite. But I hate writing guides, so instead I figured, I'll go ahead and do a video instead, because it's a lot easier for me to do. And then if anyone is trying to keep anything secret in Ingress knows that if it's like good or if it's supposed to be secret, it's gonna get out anyways. Like if you have some sort of major fielding op and you try to tell a lot of people, it's gonna get out. So you can't have something that's both widespread and secret. So to be able to really give ingression to all of our newer players and still keep it secret wouldn't have been able to done. But more importantly to me, when I'm playing, is I always believe in a fair fight, and I love a good challenge. So if the reason that you win a fight is just because the other person is ill-equipped, to me that's not really a win. I want that whole entire rising tide thing to raise all boats, and if I win against you, it's because I really am a better player, or our team was better coordinated, because that's the real win. It's not if they show up with like 10 bursers and you have like 500 power cubes, you didn't really win. That's not. There's actually some screen caps of me yelling at some players on comms because they were attacking my portal, and it wasn't the most efficient way. And I'd literally just shown how to attack that exact portal the exact way it was set up in an episode that was released the day before. I wasn't pissed they were attacking my portals. Like, you're doing it wrong. So I was giving them tips on how to kill my stuff better. It's more fun that way.
So, do your teammates, do they kind of share the same views as you, or do they get upset at you sharing information?
Well, pretty much everything that's covered on the series, especially the pro tip section, is stuff that they're unknown to a lot of players, but there's still usually like a few players on both sides that already know it. So it's not so much that it's a team-specific secret, as it is something that's just unshared knowledge. And if there's something that has 100% never been shared before, almost always it's because it's something that I've created. Like there's a Power AP episode that has a calculator along with it that tells you the best way to quickly get AP. Or there's things like the anomaly strategies, which I worked professionally for a while as a corporate strategist. So I sat down and looked at where we'd failed in the past, and then used existing strategies from both sides, and the recommended gear loadouts, which you can Google. And then I used that as a launching point to create a new and better playbook. So for me, I personally haven't had any team members actually get mad, at least in my face. By now, realistically, the tips on the show are actually about 80% viewer submitted from agents from both factions. And when someone submits a tip, I don't ask their faction, I don't ask their level. Sometimes I'll include it, but it doesn't matter to me, because as long as the advice is good, that's what matters. And I do make sure to test everything before putting it in an episode. I'm just not like, oh, this is a great tip. Let's go ahead and do this. Which I have lost like Ada's and Jarvis's testing something where someone said this is a thing, and then they just got it wrong or something like that. The only thing that I really ask is what their real name is, and if they want to be credited with agent name or real name. So, it's not bad for me, and there's only one scenario I know of where someone submitted a tip and it's been a problem for them. They submitted a tip on how to basically bypass things that people were using to cheat, and agents got mad at them at that, and that just kind of made me laugh so much, because if you're getting mad at someone for teaching people how to get around cheating, that means you must support the cheaters. So like instantly, anyone that is getting mad at that person, I'm like, you just told us you're a cheater, by the way. Like if you're saying bad things about this person, you just said you're a cheater. So if it's a scenario like that, I'm glad when people come forward, because if people hate you because of it, it means you're doing the right thing and they're doing the wrong thing, and no matter which side it is, maybe you should faction change, or maybe you should talk to other people about that, because that shouldn't be happening. Cheaters shouldn't be ruling this game.
Well said. That should be a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. I mean, we heard earlier tonight the effects that has on, even on the global scale. But Collin, I'm going to ask you to maybe move a little bit more forward, closer to the mic. The audio on your end is.
Turn it. I'm gonna use this.
Turn it up.
Okay. Oh, how's that sound? Might be too loud.
Sounds much better.
Oh, good.
No, it's great.
Oh, perfect.
Because you do a amount of public speaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you do a fair amount of public speaking, and and standing in front of a mic. And tell us a little bit more of why that might be.
So I've actually been doing improvisational comedy for going on 10 years this August, and then I've been doing stand-up comedy. I'll be going on 9 years. So, being in front of camera, having a talk to a group is just kind of secondhand by now, because performance-wise, I lost count after doing like 1,000 live shows. It just kind of blurs together at a certain point, and I've done everything from 3 people in like a converted like mobile home to a stadium with 6,800 people. So it's kind of, I don't get psyched out performance-wise unless there's like a specific person in the audience that I want to impress. Like you never bring your first date to a show, by the way. That's a horrible first date. You don't want to do that. Yeah. Hey, I'm so narcissistic. Come watch me perform. That'll be our date. But once you embrace that everyone messes up, which sometimes I do on Ingression, there's drinking. You just go with it and make corrections in post later on. It works well.
We don't know about that. We just post whatever happens.
True.
Yeah. Live TV. That's the excitement.
I tried doing that last night. It didn't work well.
So, how did you become comfortable then with speaking in front of others? Was it your very early teaching career?
It was actually a little bit before that. So I started attending public speaking classes when I was age 10, and they did not cover how to slow down talking, by the way. Apologies, I know everyone complains about that. That's like the one number one. I was raised in the Pacific Northwest section of the U.S. My veins are just like coffee and beer mixed. I have like a great Sumatra Pilsner blend. You can just kind of open my veins and drink for a while. But even with the speaking classes, I was still nervous to get on stage, and it wasn't until I found comedy that it was something that was worth getting over that fear for. And that did turn out very well, because when I was 16, I ended up teaching a semester-long computer programming class at my high school, and the following year I was a guest instructor at Southern Utah University, which kind of the speaking combined with that the teaching experience has really helped with things like ingression, where I need to distill information as simply as possible while also keeping things entertaining. And for the university thing, that's actually the story I'll be covering on the new super secret story time limited release. We'll cover that later.
Yeah. All right. I'm amazed that your parents had you attend public speaking at the age of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Is
It was
there a
kind of
special
like
reason that they were interested?
It was a former church thing. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and they kicked me out after we had a little disagreement over how many women I was supposed to have premarital sex with. Their number was 0. Mine was a little higher. So.
Yeah, that would cause a few issues, I'm sure.
Yeah, don't do it with the deacon's daughter.
Okay, so for those of you watching, remember you can submit questions for our guests. And those of you watching us via YouTube, you've got to click on the banner at the bottom of the video that says "Be part of the conversation." And from there, just click on the square grid menu icon in the upper right and select Q&A. And I apologize, it's kind of a new feature, but we also have Behind the Scanner chat. If you go to our website at behindthescanner.com and click on chat, I am scanning it every once in a while, so apologize about that. And if you want to submit questions, I'm online and checking in every now and then, so feel free to post in there as well. All right, so back to Ingress. You've done quite a bit of work for anomalies, including GoRuck, which is really new, and I think there have only been 2 anomalies that feature that. What was that like?
So yeah, they introduced that with the Persepolis series. So there's been technically only 1 series and two times that it's been done, and it was insane. I asked to be put on the team 8 days before the event and before actually Googling what it was, which was totally a bit of a mistake. You know, because GoRuck is based off of military special ops training. Yeah, the guy who started it is like former special ops, and which at the end of the day meant that I was walking I tracked it on my fitness thing, 6 miles carrying 30 pounds on my back, and then another 5 miles with 90 pounds. In addition, there's like also a ton of stuff like push-ups and jumping where you still had your 30-pound pack on, which was actually the hardest part. It's not the 11 miles like I thought it was going to be. Like walking, whatever, you do that with Ingress, but like push-ups, there's no like Ingress push-up time at all. It's never like, oh, I got to take this portal, hold on, 1, 2, 3. Like you're not like hitting the deploy button with your nose as you go down. And you know, as much as I like the GoRuck guys, and I'm sure they would love me to say that I think every player should try GoRuck, I would much rather stay honest. I actually wrote them a 4-page letter with feedback after the event, and I don't think it's for all Ingress players, to be honest with you, but I do think that there was about like 5 to 15% of players that would really enjoy the challenge and should definitely give it a shot and check it out. But I also think they should kind of know what they're going to face ahead of time, which I'm actually going to cover in an Ingression episode of GoRuck Anomaly Strategy if they decide to do it with the next Anomaly series, which I really hope they do. And that's the fact that after going through it with basically no preparation, and I don't hate it, and I really hope they do it again, should speak volumes about it, because I am so lazy. So lazy. I talk in front of a great... I don't even stand. I'm sitting right now. I'm a stand-up comic who sits.
What was the weather like when you did it?
It was actually great. So it was in Portland in the summer, which is the one time it doesn't rain in Portland. I grew up there, so I know. The year before I moved from Portland, they counted how many days it had been since we saw the sun. Not like, oh, it was sunny, like we just saw it. Like it was like a child on a milk carton, like gone away. We hit over 110 days. Like that's how great Portland can be sometimes. During the summertime, great though. So it was like perfect, like 80-degree weather. It was like nice. There was like a little breeze going in your hair. If it wasn't for the 90 pounds on your back, you'd think they were like in the Sound of Music, skipping through the hills.
Okay.
Not all homeless people. There was no homeless people in the Sound of Music.
Good on you for doing that. I admire it. Just watching the people for our DC anomaly, that was exhausting to me. But anyway, so sometimes I ping people's profiles to see their stats when and I was checking out yours, and when I first typed Incredible Hulk, I got some L7 account. Is there some reason you had to, I guess, barcode your name and use the capital I's instead of the L's?
Yeah. So when I started the game, I originally went with Collin 3000 because that's my name everywhere. But I used to yell Hulk smash on comms when I was blowing up blue towns. And I've never been fond of the moniker Frogs. I don't know whoever picked it. Like, that wasn't my choice. I love Kermit, nothing against frogs, but like, since I'm green and I smash, last year I decided to change my name after seeing the Incredible Hulk was open when I submitted the name change. And then, as we all know, sometimes things take a while. And so, like, 6 weeks later, when I'd forgotten I submitted the name change, and like it came through, that was already taken, so I had to do the capital I's instead of the L's. And I got the name at least. I was excited about it. Like, when it went through, because like usually players noticed when I would start working on like mega burrito fields, like 100K plus burrito fields, and they could mess it up. So I thought I'd be able to like field in peace for once. I was like, oh, thank God. But I forgot to unlink my G plus profile. So like 15 minutes into the field, I get calm something like, didn't like Collin 3000 anymore. And I was like, oh shit. It's gone. But it's turned out well. Now people don't know to not get in my way because I'll get angry.
So I know the other reason why Daphne was pinging you in comms. Congratulations on level 16. Do you have any fun story associated with your victory?
So there's like a really long story that is actually on my YouTube channel, assuming that you like a case where apparently some people have like cried listening to it, which that's nice if you're a writer / talker. But one of the things that I didn't touch on in that excuse me, was the fun of the drive to Portland. Because anyone that has traveled with Ingress knows I stopped over in a few different towns. I got to meet like a couple different dozen players all along the way just to the anomaly before even hitting the anomaly in like these small towns that Ingress is the only thing you can stop in a town and just instantly have friends. There's like nothing else like that, where within 5 minutes of you showing up, especially if you blow up someone's portal, like real quick, everyone's like, hey, you're new in town, aren't you? Like, there's no sudden level 16 that just pops up. There's no cheat or spoof for that. So, I want to usually say hi, make sure you're real first off, and then, a somewhat noticeable name now, so people are like, oh, hey, let's stop and chat, which is always cool. There's a lot of times you spend sitting on trunks and like just chilling back on your car and laying while you chat with new people.
And now that you're 16, what are some of your new Ingress goals?
Oh, they keep changing the more I drink. I mean, just from the start of the episode. Like, start of the episode, I was like, I'm going to go make a field. Now I'm like, I will conquer Ingress. I think, obviously, like every player, I'd love to figure out a way to get Ingression as an official series or another series I'm working on, and kind of be able to do Ingress officially. Maybe kidnap John Hankey's kids, make him hire me for Niantic or something. I'm not going to do that, John. Don't worry. I don't even know where you live. I couldn't find out via Google, Maps or Earth. Keyhole, great product. I love it. But be able to kind of work and just help other players continue getting better. So that's kind of the goal with Ingression, is just be able to keep doing it as long as possible until like I'm like homeless, just sitting with a green screen propped up by my cardboard box. If you see me with like a beard and like a green screen, that's what happened.
You'll be recording them in front of a Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned possibly doing another series. Do you want to tell us about any new projects coming up?
Yeah, so obviously Ingression is still going. We're waiting on the MUFG capsule data to come in before we do Ingress 102, and there's going to be more basic stuff and more pro tips. There's like 25 episodes on the slate for that thing that have to be shot, written, edited, all that stuff. But there's a new one that I kind of want to do like a travel channel style show where I pop into a town and I literally I learn it with Ingress in the course of a day, and I shoot these things that you wouldn't see either because the town doesn't have a guidebook for it, like small places like Twin Falls, Idaho, or they're things that you wouldn't normally see without Ingress. So like in Portland, there's some great stuff that people go to the Saturday market, but they don't know about some of the little history pieces and this fire truck. So that's going to be coming out soon. It's I'm gonna pilot it with a few episodes that I've already shot called Ingress Field Trips. And then there's a new kind of super private podcast thing. I'm not sure who all let into it called the Super Secret Story Time that I'm working on, where I've been kind of writing stories about my life. It's completely separate from Ingress for the most part. There's Ingress stories in it, but pieces where it's things that are very deep and personal, kind of like biography stuff, or if people really want to know me as a person and like are not afraid of hearing weird, horrible shit, then they can kind of ping me and I'll see if I feel like we're a match for a person, and then I'll send that out to them. They can give you feedback, and then we'll kind of flush it out for a more official podcast after they get the first super secret story.
Ooh.
Ooh, so maybe we'll be able to dig into some of these secrets. Are you ready for some viewer questions?
Oh, absolutely. Bring it.
Well, for those of you who are paying close enough attention, the hashtags in Collin's lower thirds has changed quite frequently, and Jesse, our cameraman, he's kind of commenting about the Burrito Boy tag. What on earth does that mean?
So everyone previously called the multi-layered fields like onion fields, but when I did my first one, it used to be you could only toss 7 layers on a multi-layered field if you were tossing it from an anchor, because you had to toss the one over to the other anchor and the 7 layers up. So I finished my very first burrito field, as I call them, 7 layers, and then went and got a 7-layer burrito. So that's why I named them, because to me it's more like you're trapped in this burrito of green now, or for other people blue. So I'm Burrito Boy. I'm changing the name. We're changing everything in the game. They're no longer links. They're hooking up. Portals. Make sure to use a shield, people.
All right, and continuing with the favoritism towards our colleagues behind the scanner, Andrew Krug would like to ask you, are you wearing the BTS uniform?
I have pants on right now. So what? When I flash out, I found out when I flash out the custom overlay right there, you can see right there. So, 2 problems real quick. Number 1, I'm wearing blue boxers. I'm gonna rep my faction. I'm not gonna have like we got some enlightened at the top and some resistance down below. No one wants resistance in the lower half of the body. That's when you have some problems. When you're like, okay, I gotta respect your what you gotta do. You know, we've both been drinking, so. That's not official BTS. No. That'll be later tonight, ladies.
Yes, after that.
There we go.
All right. Well, the next question is quite appropriate. From Oscar Monzon. What was your creepiest experience as an Ingress agent?
Ooh. So it depends on how you define creepy. There's something I'm kind of debating in to put out in the Super Secret Stories cast, because I've already written about 5 of these and I kind of need to redo them. But you know, one of the things with Ingress is I love it, and I always want to make sure that Ingress is growing as a whole. So you really don't want to share the creepy experiences so much, like to the public, because you don't want to accidentally hurt its growth when people don't realize, oh, this isn't like an everyday thing. This is a weird thing that happened. I'm gonna say the creepiest thing that happened was probably not for me. It was probably that I did. We had a local player who insisted that I clearly, this was like a joke that was an ongoing thing that I never let drop, that I didn't love her as much as another player because that other player had submitted 2 portals and gotten them approved with her name on it. So I went on a string and submitted like 17 portals and got 3 of them approved. Sadly, none of the strip clubs that I was submitted got through. So there's 3 different ones with her name on them, and then I just submitted another strip club when I was in a different town that I won't tell her, so they can't get that one name changed if it goes through. Several players went and name changed all the portals for her back to what they should have been. So, and all of a sudden it was just mixed emotions instead of blank agents' names, mixed emotions.
Wow. All right, kind of on that same vein, Roy Marambillo, Marambillo, is wondering, what is your most memorable Ingress experience?
Oh. So it was my first time down in the Salt Lake area, actually. Which Salt Lake is relatively small population-wise, like 500,000 people, but we have 14,000 portals. So jealous much. And so I driven down from when I was living in Ogden, and I was playing with the Salt Lake player who I've loved now dearly, named Mr. Greedy Gnome. And I promise I'd never tell this, but it's behind the scanner, right? Yeah. So he takes me on like my first Ingress wild ride. So we're driving on the sidewalks in a park that I now live like 2 blocks from, so we can cap the portals, because like that's how insanely dedicated. So like we're just driving through this park at nighttime, just like winding through trees so we can cap things left. Well, so I can try to cap things left and right. He's like stealing them from me because he's Greedy Gnome. So he's like hitting everything. He has the uniques. He didn't need them, by the way. I needed them. I was from the small little town of Ogden. But that was probably the thing that will always just stick in my memory for the rest of my Ingress life. Is just that insane need portals, will do anything for portals.
All right. And next question is based on Michael Warkenton's question. As far as the information that you present in the videos, where do you get the information or inspiration from?
So when we're looking for things like the pro tips, those are user submitted, and people can send them to me. They can post them in the comments. I read every single comment on the videos, which I'm surprised how many nice comments there are. And like, YouTube is usually just full of the shittiest pieces of human soul that exist. But Ingress proves that we're different people, because it's all like nice stuff. Thank you guys so much for that. Now there's going to be a bunch of trolls that do it. And so comment section, you can send me a Hangout, you can send me a message on YouTube. So I get all those in, I collect them, I try to figure out whether or not kind of about half of all players would know them. If more than half know, I'm not going to put it in. It's just kind of common knowledge at that point. I go out, test them, get them all set. There's 2 pro tips episodes that are just sitting in queue with tips that I have to get out there and send. Some of them are things that I will find, or that I'll discover, or someone will submit a tip. I'll kind of modify it a little bit, figure out a way to make it a little bit better. They still get the credit for it because they're the ones who submitted it, but so it's kind of this amalgam of different of the community coming together, and it really is. I started it, but it's really the community that has made the show be sustained through their tips. And then for episode ideas, I'm usually just cranking out what did I not know in Ingress when I was starting, or we'll have people sometimes suggest things where it's like sometimes it's already on the list, but like farming, creating farms, doing that. Not being a douche and saying you're going to show up and then not showing up, so there's only 7 people for the farm, stuff like that. So it's the community as a whole, and then I just kind of filter it down, test it, sometimes tweak it a little bit, and then release it.
Right. And as a stand-up comedian, you are used to hecklers. I don't know if this is a heckler question or an inside joke, but
What's next?
Fishnet wants to know, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Usually when I'm fighting animals, I have a malady, so I'll choose the duck.
All right. There you have it.
Wow. I'm laughing because we asked Ethan this crazy question a couple weeks ago. Anyway, are those all of our crazy heckler or non-heckler questions?
I'd say pretty close to it, and based on those questions and whatnot. So yeah.
I don't know how we could really beat that last question, though.
Just can't.
So I think it's about time that we let Collin have a little taste of the famous behind the scanner tradition. You get your 30 seconds. We're gonna all quiet down.
This is faction bias. I'm gonna support you guys, the NIA. He got 60 seconds. I get 30.
Okay. We're going to give you 60 seconds. Okay. I'll give you 65 seconds because I'm feeling generous.
No. 60. I'm all about non-faction bias. Let's make this even and equal.
All right. 60 seconds. Say anything you want. Give any shout-outs. Tell everyone how much you love me and Daphne. Go.
I haven't loved them personally. They're far away from me. I haven't even given them hugs. But I do love... So seriously, there's there's a lot of awesome players, and there's too many that you can really count. But the people that are working kind of behind the scenes, the guys at NIA, like we give them so much shit for the things, but when you think about how many people there are working on the staff versus how many players and what they are having to deal with between the massive portal submission and everything, like they really deserve so much more love. I know some people have negative feelings towards one person on the staff or another. Dude, they're trying their best. They're still people at the end of the day. So thank you, everyone at NIA Ops, for being humans and trying your hardest. Honestly, behind the scanner, guys like Fev Games, the people that are working on things to help the community are awesome. I love everyone that does that. If you're making legal applications for the games, things like there's a little widget you can get that will tell you the next checkpoint when it's coming up based off the clock, nothing tying in, no rules broken. Thank you so much for working to make the game better for everyone else and providing more info for me to use in episodes. Also, Fev, get on that MUFG capsule. I need the data for an episode. I already messaged him. He's like, we don't, like, we're trying to crack it, dude. They're mysteries. They're like a woman's G-spot. We know there's some sort of solution. We just don't know what it is.
Well, some may have figured it out. I don't know.
They're not telling me. The MUFG capsules. I figured the other one out. I did a lot of extensive testing. Not extensive. The adequate amount of testing for someone my age range. Let's clarify that. More than, which sounds better. More than usual? Less than usual? Who knows?
Well, that was a very educational 60 seconds, so thank you for that. That's all we have tonight, I think. Daphne, is there anything else?
I think that's it. So enjoy your summers. We will be back next week, and thank you everyone for watching.
Have a good night, and happy hacking. Yeah, credits rolling now?
There we go.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know when flashes back to me because I'm slowly lifting up my shirt.
We got After Dark. After Dark.
That's the After Dark.
Oh God, I forgot that this still shows up in the lower right-hand corner. People have been requesting that for like 2 weeks too. God damn.
And it's hashtag please forgive Collin, in case you're wondering at home. What's the
For all those
hashtag?
tonight.
I'm gonna have to see one of your shows if they ever get over there.
Hashtag too hot for YouTube.
Ooh, that's the winner, right there.
Do, 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 do.
The request